Well, sometimes you score and sometimes you score. And sometimes you get a bunch of junk. I'll have to go through it, but this got put up by a bike shop 5-6 towns over for sale real cheap as a lot. And so I went ahead and went out there and bought the whole lot. A lot of it's going to go right in recycling, but a lot of it's really nice. Like this old, I think it's an Elan fork, has a nice Dura Ace sealed cartridge bearing headset on it. One of my favorite eras. Manitou or whatever with DRLX. It's like early 90s. That might be worth some money to a collector. There's a couple of salsa forks, some surly forks in here. Wayless carbon fork. A bunch of tires. Some of them brand new. Boxes and boxes of cranks and stems and a bunch of leather seats and some racks. My roommate's going to kill me for bringing all this crap into our tiny overflooded basement. So some of this I'll save for my own projects and some I'll save for friends' bikes or because I think it'll be useful. But most of it will probably go on eBay to help me keep financing making my videos. So yeah, let's go through it. So there's a few things like this old Altus crank. That is definitely just going right into the recycling. Same thing with this super cheapo, heavy, whatever. I could save these chainring bolts, but I'm gonna risk regretting it. This looks like a bunch of brand new look cleats. Someone will want that on eBay probably. Exercise bike pedal, who knows? There's two of them. So one will probably throw it away. Old Zafal water bottle cage. It's old and weird, someone might care. A very bizarre clip-on light or mirror. I guess that should be trash. Weird kids bike front wheel. Scoot wheel, there's nothing wrong with it. This is what I'm talking about. Some vintage toe clips for the vintage weird Shimano pedals. Someone might want those. They break, you can't get them. Clamp on kickstand. A totally destroyed, pried open, mangled stem. It's not light, it's tall. Might save the wedge out of it. It's like some BMX gyro cups. Here's the inside of the poor recycling can. It's got some SR Sun Tour and a Raleigh fork that are probably bad but could be fine. Some junky mismatched pedals, some old steel bars and stems, and you know, nothing great, but 20 or 30 pounds of metal. Ooh, recycling. Spent last night going through all these bars and pulling the stems off, pulling the brake levers off, pulling all the old bar tape off, pulling the plugs out. Probably spent 2 hours while just watching a movie, just de-wrapping those bars. Here is a very darkly lit little bin. Most of these stems came in this lot. Here's a giant, oversized, ridiculous thing. Most of them normal 1/8" for 31/8 or 25/4 bars, so that's cool. Some halfway decent ones. This light bone trigger. Some heavy ones. Some branded ones. Some not so branded ones. Saved a few seat posts. Most of them were garbage, but just a ton of these little weird shims, which no one cares about until the second you really need one. And then it's great to have. I might put all the shims up as one big lot on the old eBay. None of these seat posts are really worth saving. There's one usable 27.2 bone trigger. It's worth $0. There was 5 or 6 little collars, which is always good. And I saved a couple of really crappy seat posts because I might make a headset extraction tool out of one of these by cutting it and splitting it and doing a video on that. So we'll see. There was a couple of cheapo Diacomp levers that no one's going to care about. There was one nice Shimano 105 Flight Deck 9-speed that has all of its clicks and pulls cable. There's nothing wrong with or missing from, so here's a little bit of the bars we got. Well, really, most of them, other than a couple of Tim grabbed or whatever. Here's a very slightly shaped bone trigger bar. Looks to be uncut. It's got a nice bar with a little bit of shape. A real boring Pro Max bar. A Niner bar that looks like it has been cut. Pretty cool, real basic flat bar. There was a sort of swoopy Bone Traeger bar, but it's gone. I think Tim grabbed it. Here's a Soma Sparrow bar. It's cool. It's a little shapy and cruisery. Silver, which I like. I'll definitely use this on something. And here's a really wide, like fixed gear, like Pursuit time trial, popular style bar. It's just wide as heck. 46 centimeters. That's fun. So here's a little boring Bone Traeger, pretty narrow little stock bar. Not too interesting. Probably nobody wants it. But here's a little narrow Bone Traeger. It's 40 centimeters. It's like real shallow. Shallow drop, shallow reach. Might be kind of interesting to someone. Here's a little Richie. Got that gross sort of 90s shape that they kept way too long. Probably no one cares. Here's a cool old Nitto Olympiad, which no one really cares about, but it's kind of a cool old bar for vintage 80s bikes, and it's in real good shape. I haven't actually done like a little flat wobble test, but after recycling a bunch of junk cranks and Tim taking a few junk cranks for projects, this is all that's left. There's a single mismatch Sagino. Maybe somebody will pay $10 for it on the eBays. I never used, but you know, cheap steel for chainring ring. Really cheapo single speed single cranks. Chrome steel, little plastic bash guard. That would be cool for something really cheapo or whatever. They're fine. Some real heavy, maybe old mountain bike cranks. Maybe we'll have like steel. Someone might want these on the eBay because they're mountain bike and they're old. Could be junk, could be cool. A totally dead Ultegra 11-speed crank. Looks like it's stripped out in here. But someone will probably give me $10 for the dumb bolts and the little latch in there. Who knows? And an FSA crank. And another just non-drive Sunlight crank. There was a set of SFA Gossamers, but I gave those to Tim. And here's just a bunch of BMX-y style pegs. Probably not worth anything. Probably off kids' bikes or cheapo BMX bikes. Some new, some used. Maybe I'll sell them, try and sell them as a lot. There's some BMX weirdos on Craigslist will care. I bought a set of pegs once at a swap meet for like $4. Put on the back of my fixed gear because I bombed down this big hill every night. It took like 10 minutes. So this way I could just bomb down drunk and put my feet on the pegs. So here, this is exciting. Here's some used saddles that came in the lot. A giant, like, exercise bike or cruiser or something weird saddle. Someone's gonna want it. An old Stella Titanico, Stella Anatomica in pink. It looks like it is, so it's totally blown out. This nut's like all the way out to pull it tight. So here's the thing about these, they're soft and get maxed out, but if someone's light, they don't care about it being soft. This would be still cool because it's pink. A little Stella Italia, manganese, very light saddle. Someone's gonna think this is cool. No damage to the leather, no wrecks. So one fun race saddle. I mean, I would put this on one of my own bikes, but anything that says manganese or alloy or tie or any of that stuff, I'm too heavy for, I'll bend. So I don't mess around with that anymore. And one just like whatever, hybrid suspension system, whatever. I mean, it came on the seat post when the shock's built in. But whatever, it's just like a kind of a wide vinyl saddle, good for rubbing water off. Kind of wide, which a lot of women like for wider hips and a little shorter nose and things. Very jelly. Someone will be into that on their little towny commuter bike. Got a few frame pumps. They're all spring-loaded, so you can stuff them in your frame wherever you can make them fit. They all appear to work and be totally fine. These two Blackburn ones. They're in different lengths as well. That's pretty cool. I love me a frame pump for long touring bikes. Little tiny pumps and stupid CO2s are terrible for long rides, and we have to repair multiple flats. Or I don't ride any bike without a full-size frame pump. So it's cool to get 3 of those that work. A few brand new or take-off grips. It's always good to have good new grips. Some SE logger, like single speed, like fake BMX-y things. Some like, yeah, thin, fake, tracky, hipster things. This bin of basically miscellaneous whatevers. I think Tim grabbed some stuff out of here. But there's like some, crappy long-reach BMX brakes. There was a few more. I think Tim grabbed a couple and left some. Some really weird vintagey water bottle cages that probably no one will care about. The BMX headset stuff, some more BMX headset stuff. Some weird Speedo cable-y kind of stuff for something I'll never be able to figure out, I'm sure. We'll go right in the trash. A bunch of the same weird shock mount. Put these up on eBay a lot and see if anyone cares. It's kind of a cool aluminum machined cylinder. I wonder if I could use those for something. Art-wise or whatever, if no one cares about these. They're for 2003 to 2006 Trek forks. I looked them up. A really cheap, heavy little like Candy Boss rack. It is like the heaviest rack I've ever held in my life. This is heavier than like even like the big Soma full-on Portour racks. So I don't know if anyone's really going to care, and it's missing a bunch of hardware. But you never know. Stem bolt I saved. A whole bunch of these shock things. A couple of new rubber things. These are cool. So these appear to be some sort of plasticky zip tie kind of thing with a little screw doodad that goes through to make them into frame pumps. That's like a zip tie on like frame pump peg. And there's 3 of these, and there's 4 of these, and 3 of those frame pumps. So that might be cool for a bike I sell to somebody. Maybe they want me to mount one of those frame pumps. Cool vintage reflectors on the stem of like an old Pivo stem. It's just in good shape and vintage, so maybe someone will care. A bunch of modern 31.8 reflectors that probably no one cares about, but what are you going to do? And here's the real gem, and the reason why I went was this fork collection. Forks worth their weight in gold. They solve a lot of problems for old frames. They solve a lot of problems for people who wreck their bikes and bend their forks. People are always looking for a cool fork. So there's this alloy, I believe Elan. It's big enough. I think it's still Elan, like road fork. If the threads are French, it might be a Vitus, but I really don't think so. With this cool Dura-Ace headset. I'll see if I can get that off and save the base plate. Maybe I'll sell it as a fork and headset. The right thing for the bike. And last time I had one of these Elans, like the frame had sort of delammed and started popping apart. So I just sold the fork, and I got like $100 for this fork. It was cool. A real beat-up, wayless carbon fork. I do not ride carbon. I do not ride used carbon. I think it's junk. A lot of guys sure do and don't care and think it's tough and will last forever and don't even care how beat up it is. So, somebody probably wants it. Inch and eighth 700C. Here's another inch and eighth 700C used carbon fork that is so much lighter. That's crazy. ISO speed, and it's got some sensor built in. Maybe it's a thing somebody cares about. And it's got a real tall steer. Whatever, some might think it's cool. People always think Surly stuff is cool. And it's got 700C, Candy Bosses, fender eyelets, but no front eyelets, no rack mounts. So I'm not 100% sure what this is from. An earlier road bike or earlier cross bike, or I'm sure everyone in the world's in love with Surly's and they'll know. But steer tube's not too terribly tiny. I think it's probably for like a 54 centimeter, I think it said. This is really cool. Here's a Salsa with a very tall steerer tube. And it's a Salsa 700C disc brake fork with fender eyelets and the disc mounts and the brazons up the back. It's a lot lighter than that Surly fork too. Cool stainless eyelets. So that's cool. That'll solve someone's problem. Someone's bike cool. Here's just a cheapo, generic, looks like 700C, probably. Yeah, 700C, double eyeletted, tapered blades, inch and eighth threaded fork. It's a little more hybrid-y or road bikey, maybe kind of touring bikey fork. Pretty weird and cool. I'm sure it's not recommended, but I'm sure a million guys have done it. Just cut the threads off and clamp a stem on. Turn it into a threadless. Sometimes the threadless specific stuff has thicker walls. And the ones for quill stems have thinner walls so you can fit the quill inside. And here's just a generic 26-inch for the crappy BMX style brake. Hybrid-y fork. Maybe it's for a 26-inch BMX. It's 1-inch threaded. It's chrome. It's got double eyelets. It's nothing special, but, brand new. I think it's brand new. Do not believe it's ever been used. So cool replacement fork. Then we got the suspension-y fork. So this is off a Cannondale, a giant 1.25 inch oversized steer tube with the top cap, star nut, and stem. And I have no idea if it's a cool one or anything. I don't care about Cannondales. Maybe someone will care, maybe they won't. Maybe I'll just sell the stem. Who knows? And this old vintage Answer Manitoua, whatever 90s fork that's probably just for parts and doesn't work and probably no one will care about, but we'll put it up and see if anyone cares. Maybe someone wants the parts and knows how to rebuild them for their cool vintage mountain bike. And it's got the 92 and later LX, so it's probably from the 92, 3, 4 era. So that's pretty cool. Little fork collection.